everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my sewing room. Today we are finishing off, fingers crossed, the rose sink dress from Titanic. I'm like so close, but I am also so close to leaving for costume college. And the goal, if you have not seen my previous videos on this, is to actually wear this on the Queen Mary the day before costume college. So today is currently Monday. I leave on Wednesday morning. I'm doing like okay-ish where I'm at right now, but at this point I am partway through attaching all of the skirts to the bodice. So I have been pinning those. I mentioned that in the last video, which if you have not seen the other two videos for this project, I will link those down below in the description. But I was in the process of pinning the skirts to the bodice when I had to cut that video for last week. So I am first going to go ahead and finish attaching the skirts to the bodice, and then I can move on to like facings and hems and all that other good stuff and the sash. And yeah, so let's go ahead and dive right in and get everything done in time for costume college. I have just finished attaching the skirts to the bodice. I did this actually in 2 steps because I was worried about this thickness, which as you can tell is like super thick. So I went and I put on all of the chiffon layers with the bodice first, and then I added the crepe back satin layer afterwards because that was going to be like the thickest layer. But it is all now together. I do feel like it is like just really thick right there, but it will be covered over by the belt, so hopefully it won't make too much of an issue. The other thing that I honestly probably should have done first was I probably should have done the facing first, because I'm a little bit worried about how that facing is going to go on now, but I do just need to do the facings. I'm probably just going to use like a little piece of fabric on each side, and one is going to overlap the other so that the skirts can just be like at the center, just like that, because the skirts aren't going to overlap. They're just going to be hidden by the sash. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to put on the facings and the hooks and eyes or bars, we'll see, onto the facings. So one thought did just occur to me, which is why I had not already put the facing on before I attached the skirts. And that's because if you look at the back right here, I really feel like, sorry, my nail polish is awful, but I really feel like the ribbon sash sort of situation here is actually incorporated into the back facings, because I think you can see the little hooks right there. So that's how it closes. It is a hook and I'm gonna say I think closure, and it looks to me from that picture like the two edges just butt up next to each other. Now I personally prefer usually to have like an underlap so that the edges of the actual fashion fabric butt up together, but then there's like a little lap underneath that just makes it so you don't get like any gappage of any sort. And I don't think that that is actually how this dress was made, but that is what I would like to do with the facing. And the big question though is, do I incorporate the sash into that or don't I? Because like if all else fails, I could potentially pin slash tie the sash on. Like if I completely run out of time, I potentially could do that. But not if it's in the facing, because I really need the facing done and like the hooks and bars and stuff. I mean, again, like I could put the hooks and eyes on Wednesday night when I'm at the hotel. Like I don't have plans currently for Wednesday night, so I could do that. I need all of the hems done though, and I need the machine sewing for the facing done because I'm doing all of my hems by machine. So I need that all done before I leave on Wednesday morning because I'm not going to have a machine at costume college. So I think to me that means don't do it exactly the way that they probably did it, where the sash is incorporated, and just go ahead and do my facing right now and put the hooks and eyes on so that I can put the dress on, ideally, and actually do the hems, like check the hems to make sure, you know, if anything needs to be shortened, leveled off, etc., instead of just like turned under, because my plan is to just do narrow hems. Potentially, probably with the rolled hem foot on the machine, despite the headaches that that gives. We shall see, because there's like each layer is not very wide. There's not a lot of yardage, but because there are so many layers, I want to do things, and I have one day. I want to do things as quickly as possible because basically that's the other thing. Right now it is 9:30, and the other thing that I really need to do tonight, besides start packing, is I actually need to dye my hair. It's awful, and I can't take this to costume college. So I'm gonna have to cut it for tonight because I cannot risk working on this with hair dye in. Can you even imagine if I got hair dye on this dress? Oh my God. I can probably pack while my hair is dyeing, or I can edit the last video while my hair is dyeing, but I cannot work on this. So yeah, I'm gonna stop for tonight and dye my hair. Oh, but I guess you might want to see what it looks like all together. So here's what it looks like currently. I know you can't see too much. There's all the layers. And it's looking like a dress finally. So that's exciting. Like, it's almost wearable. So I'm gonna dye my hair and I will finish this up tomorrow. I have it all on now, so obviously that means I did the back closure and the facing, which I will show you shortly. But now I have to turn my attention to the hem. I feel like it's actually looking really good. I do need to double check my reference images to see if like the layers are correct. I also am not really sure, you know, walking around the Queen Mary, how great it is that I do have a little train, but you know, it is what it is. I was hoping to figure out some way to like lift it for that, but I think I've run out of time. So the length of the bottom layer is like super, super excellent. Honestly, all the layers seem really very good. I think, again, I'm going to check that reference image, but they seem pretty good. So I think all I have to do on all of them is turn just a narrow hem, and I think I should be good. So I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do this, but I do think, looking at my reference images, there is one thing that I think is a little bit off with the hem, and that is that if you look at the reference, I feel like the hems of the top two layers, they go very horizontal and then drop suddenly, because I'm pretty sure that this bit right here is like part of the top layer, and their pink, you can see, then comes down a little lower there as well. And I feel like what I am getting on here is just a subtle, like as it goes back, it just goes a little further down. But you know what? I don't really feel like messing with the weird cuts of this tonight when I have like an hour left to do all these hems. So I think I'm just going to turn them as they are, and I can always fix those at some later date, like when I go to do the beading or something like that. The other thing is that I'm finding that like on hers, I feel like these fronts right here were actually cut away like at an angle, because I do feel like the fronts wind up, they start here, yes, but I feel like they wind up going to like here, and I cut mine straight down, and so they're hanging straight down. So again, that might be something that I change at a later date, is to like cut them away more. We'll see, but I do think that it overall is reading correctly, and it overall is like kind of the correct length, and at least, you know, a nice differentiation between all of them. So yeah, I'm just gonna hem them as is. While I have this on, I am also playing around with the sash a little. I ripped off some of the width that existed before. I still think that I have too much bulk, so I folded some down inside, which is why it's looking particularly thick. But I had pressed a few little like pleats in. I'm working with this in the mirror, so I don't know if you can see that those are pressed in the bottom, but they are pressed in, and I think I need to do that throughout the length of it. But then once you press it, when you pull it tightly, which is what I'm doing here in the back, it kind of folds into those narrow little irregular pleats, which is what I want. So I kind of think that that is going to be the right idea, and then I just have to do narrow hems on the top and bottom once I cut off the excess, and like tack it, I guess, to the bodice. I'm gonna tack it really loosely because I think I am gonna dye this darker at some point, but I think it will work for now. Well, I've been trying to use my rolled hem foot, and I feel like it is just giving up the ghost, because this has to be the ugliest rolled hem or narrow hem or whatever that I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God, this thing is atrocious. So now the question is, do I cut it off, which makes it a little shorter, which I don't love, but do I cut it off and redo it and like actually just press the hem and, you know, do it like a normal hem? I think that's going to be the answer. Okay, so first off, this is what the facing looks like, since I promised to show you that. So I actually just did it with bias. I didn't do a real facing. I didn't do like the little part sticking out like I thought that I was going to. In hindsight, I might regret that, because even though I put these so close together down here, because of the bulk, I feel like it still tries to pull away from itself. So anyway, that is it for now. And then after like 2.5 hours, I finally have all of my hems done. Could not use my narrow foot, had to press them and sew them all by machine, but they look nice, I think, so that's good. It is way later than I was supposed to stop sewing so that I could, like, you know, finish packing and go to sleep for an early flight. But yeah, the sash situation right here, I hemmed one side of the hanging sash. I did also cut the bottom of the hanging sash so that it would fall in little tails. I think that the actual hanging sash is 2 pieces, but this just wasn't pink enough to like divide it into 2, because one side would have basically just been white. So I just cut that little bit down at the bottom, and I'm gonna have to hand sew the sash on, but this part's kind of going to be gathered up into a little like bunch at the top, and then this goes around the waist, and I will like cut those down and hand tack it, and probably just like press the edges in, or just like fold the edges in and whip that to the bodice is my guess. But yeah, so that's where we are. I'm gonna go throw everything in the suitcase, and tomorrow we're going to LA. We have made it to the Queen Mary, and as you can tell, I am wearing the dress. Well, you'll see more of the dress shortly, but I'm going to bring you around with me as we tour the ship, because we have signed up for a tour, and we are all here in our lovely Titanic outfits on this 1930s ship. And we are just gonna have a wonderful time. It's such a fun place to come and visit, is the Queen Mary. So as you could tell from all of that footage, I had, or hopefully you could tell, I had a really fun time wearing this dress today. Emily, by the way, gave me this amazing Heart of the Ocean necklace, which was just absolutely perfect, like the thing that I needed. So wonderful, so thoughtful of her. And she is the sucky seamstress, by the way. If you want to go check out her videos, I will link her down below. But yeah, we had such a wonderful time going to the Queen Mary and going then to the Titanic the Exhibition. I hope I'm saying that right. That is also in Los Angeles. And it was just a really great way to take pictures and see stuff. Like, they had artifacts, and yeah, it was wonderful. And I am quite pleased with how this dress was. It does have, I think, 3 pins in the back that are like helping with the closure, kind of where the knot is. And what I think I did not tell you was, I'm gonna stand up so you can see it, I just kind of whip stitched the top of this down. I did not wind up hemming the bottom yet, which I still do need to do because it kept flipping out. But yeah, that just needs that little hem, and then probably 1 to 2 hooks and eyes added in the back underneath the knot. And then it's probably gonna be okay. But that said, I do actually want to replace the sash entirely with something like made out of silk habitai or something like that. But yeah, overall, not too bad for a relatively quick cosplay for a complicated dress made out of chiffon, and I am very excited to be able to wear this again. I'm probably going to be wearing this also this weekend at Costume College, which is going to be, I think next week's video is going to be all about Costume College, so make sure that you check back for that. But that is going to be it for me for this video and this project. If you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube at least once a week, with sewing vlogs like this out on Tuesdays and sometimes additional content out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below, or you can send me a super thanks or join my YouTube channel memberships right here on YouTube. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Edwardian level patrons, Mirage, Laura, Jean, and Janelle. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!